in the top right here, recently dispatching Seether, getting to the grand finale. Can he do it? This is Blockchain Lions RiSky.
Is that actually? Is it? Okay. Down
It's
here in the
actually
bottom
seen.
left-hand side, in the blue, it is Probe. Representing Legacy, of course. Is it actually Blockchain Lions, did you say?
It is, I believe, Block Sports Lions. No, my crypto brain took it away from me. It's Block Sports Lions.
I was like, are they just sponsored
Sorry,
by
guys.
some sort of crypto conglomeration where they're like, we need to support esports to spread the word?
RiSky's salary is half a Bitcoin per month. It's very lucrative. Very lucrative.
No. That's actually where they do the dirty on you. That you think it's a Bitcoin. It's a Dogecoin that actually gets paid into your account.
We pay you 1 Lions coin per month. Sorry, that's a misspeak from me there. I really find it, you guys out there will notice that I usually try to shout out the team is because I really do think teams are important in StarCraft 2, and I always appreciate when they support players, even though some teams usually just have one player. They're just acted more as a sponsor rather than, actually, providing coaches or a house or anything like that. It's not really all about that. It's about providing monetary support for someone that's doing, what they love, being a pro gamer in their in the greatest game of all time. So always want to send love, and apologies for the incorrect team name there. I'll be better in the future, I promise.
I appreciate you doing the research. I just kind of set something off there because I think it is massive for the ecosystem. These players, getting sent out to events. If they haven't qualified, they want to go try it in that open bracket. The travel costs can stack up, salaries and all this sort of stuff. The support through gear and sponsorships, it is a big part of the scene. So massive love to these guys for getting that going, of course. Who knows? My little brother sharing a team with Probe. I hope to see him back competing again soon. I've been helping him fix up his computer, so see if we can see another contender out there. But for now, pretty standard opening for RiSky. 4 Zerglings going out. Looks like he just wants to try to sneak one past. It is going to be an Adept straight into a Stalker. So quick Twilight Council build here for Probe.
Yeah, usually followed by the Robo, of course. So we'll see how this lands. Probe didn't go for the hatchery block or anything like that in this game, which I feel like a few Protosses like to do at the moment. He's just happy to let the natural get up for RiSky and just use the Probe Labor for scouting.
The Robo does go down. That Adept hanging around a long time, waiting for the Stalker to pop. RiSky's Overlord is a little exposed. It's going to take a big beating before it gets to that pillar. So, does get punished there for spying on the Protoss natural, and that means when the Prism comes out, you're only going to need to hang around for a few seconds to confirm that kill. So this is a bit of a nice setup here for Probe, and I'd actually like to see RiSky kind of pull that Overlord back a bit ahead of time, and just try to get it to the dead space before the moment where the Robo comes down.
We were talking old school builds big, 2016 cold, wanted his PVZ back.
I feel so redeemed, I never stopped doing this build. 4 years later, it came back into the meta, Maynard.
And you know what? Every Tuesday night I cast Zest PVZs, and he does this all the time too. Of course, it was a Adept printer for quite a while, but good old Zest, man. He'll throw out this Dark Shrine with the Prism every now and then. His favorite meta for PVZ, no doubt. He keeps coming back to it.
Yeah, this is actually the 3-gate version as well. So this is a very quick Prism. And this Overlord's going to see it. Now, I'm going to RiSky's camera personally on my own observer cam because I think he should realize that he needs crazy early detection. He starts his lair now. There is no way that's going to be ready in time. He needs to build spores within the next 15 seconds or so. And he does start to put a spore down at the 3rd, because these are very quick DTs. These are going to be coming in nice and fast. And I think Probe's just going to be looking for a 3rd base behind that one.
Yeah, I got the Adept trading with some Lings here in the middle, but a little bit too much Zerg. Probably going to use a little bit of juggle tactics there to trade as much as against the Lings as he can. He's already taken a lot of hit points on those Adepts, so they're not going to be able to do too much more, and he just is actually going to shade them back home and just use the Prism for the DTs.
Okay, RiSky's got a really good read on this build now. He realizes, hey, those aren't Glaive Adepts. You're not warping in anymore yet. This is a fake. You're going DTs. He's put the spores down in each base. He's mixing in a couple of roaches to go with this big pack of Zerglings, a couple of drones, and he's got 5 queens! Oh, Probe!
Okay, that was very dangerous. Probe reacting a little slow there. Took a lot of paint off of this side of that Warp Prism, but it's still alive, which is the most important thing, as is its cargo.
Yeah, I mean, that's all that really matters. It's actually fine here for Probe because he hasn't missed a beat with his probing. So Obviously, Probe living up to his namesake, and he's just got to be careful with these Archons and then keep the third up. And that's what I don't think he'll be able to keep up. Oh, actually, he's got 4 Adepts kind of wedged in a good position. One more round of Warpins on that third. If he keeps the third alive against these Zerglings, this is a great spot for Probe.
Yeah, it certainly is. He does have a bit of a funnel here with those Adepts for sure. Another warp in to create that like an even deeper funnel. The Archons on the main base, they are dealing with a ton of Queens and Roaches, though. I think Probe might be overextending a little bit here. He's got to get it back out of that main.
Yeah, it's a good poke, though. That's a really good poke. He loses like 1 Adept here for 23 Zerglings. That's awesome. And at the same time, he goes in the main and says, hey, did you only build drones behind this? Are you being a greedy? He like, sees the Roaches and says, nope, okay, cool. That's fine. I'm just going to be really conservative with these Archons. Just kind of take the edge off the creep here. Try not to let those shields get deactivated and get those Archons out of there. But really good, just light pressure from Probe. And I think the only real question mark for him is, hey, I just need to make sure you're not squeezing quick muters out behind this. You know, I need to make sure you're still building Roaches, you're still focused on the defense. And with Immortal production in the way, the third base getting up, and now Probes should be transferring over there. Looks like it's going to be just a Ravager Baneling up against Immortal game. And I've really got my eyes glued to the production tab, Maynard, because I'm wondering, are we going to see a Templar Archives? Are we going to see Storm? Is it going to be the Blink style? I'm not sure exactly what Probe's follow-up is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's just Archon and Charge, but usually when you want to go into Storm or Disruptor or something like that, you need some splash damage, right? Because trading against just a big bowl of Roaches is tough with just Blink Stalkers.
He just warped in 4 Stalkers under an Overseer to kill it. Now that tells me Probe here kind of just wants more units and just wants to go across the map potentially with some sort of big push. He's taking his gases now. He's just continuing to build up off one Robo. Yeah, it's an interesting situation because he hasn't really chosen attack. And there we go. Blink does now start up. So it is going to be that Blink style. Only 4 sentries, so not a massive sentry count. No Robo Bay or Templar Archives. And feels like Probe just wants a lot of units, you know, really generic units. And I think he wants to kind of get out of the map and just kind of create space, take a 4th base, and then very late go on up into that splash damage.
Well, RiSky's going to have +1 very shortly for the Lings and Banes. He hasn't got any upgrades for the Roaches Ravagers. Doesn't really need it, but I do like to see it. It's for that extra bit of damage output, a little bit of extra oomph against the gateways. Third base of Probe a little open here. He does have defensive warpins, of course, and 1 cannon.
Yeah, he's got other cannons that aren't quite ready yet, but this pulls him home. Oh, Warp Prism in the middle of the map does actually spot the big army. He tried to bile it there, did RiSky, but he's coming forward just threatening. This is really RiSky just kind of going, woo, you know, he's just throwing a sheet over his head. And he's like, be afraid. He's with a bad guy from an episode of Scooby-Doo or something, you know, it's like, he's not actually wanting to fight until he's got these Banelings ready. And even then, I think this is more about denying the 4th base than anything else. He's just being intimidating, sharking around. Now, if Probe messes up and comes out into the open, RiSky might take a fight, but Probe's got to be real careful about those Banelings.
I mean, he sees it with the hallucinated Phoenix, so he knows they're coming. RiSky going to try and pick the fight at third base, but he has to go into such a funnel here that attacking this position seems going to be pretty cost inefficient, at least on paper. Yeah,
I think that's a good pullback there by RiSky. Interesting to see no wall off this time around from Probe. A lot of people like to wall off the top there. Second Robo and a Robo Bay now going down for Probe, but he's got 21 Blink Stalkers out. His +2 upgrade's not that fast either. It feels like Probe here just prioritizing this army of Blink Stalkers. And I'll tell you what, that is an unkillable army, right? If someone just gets a lot of Blink Stalkers, uses a few good Force Fields, a few good Archons, like, you can't really break that offensively. And with no quick Hive or Great Aspire on the way, I think RiSky here, he's gone up in the work account, which is great. He kind of needs to do that because I think he's foreseeing this game getting forced long. And he's going to need an obscene Baneling count because they're going to be fighting at max supply. Ravagers and Roaches, really bad supply, whereas Zergling's kind of average. The only way you can make up for your supply deficit or your low-quality supply is Banelings. And you know what? Here we go. RiSky finds an opening.
Nova coming forward for the Baneling cluster. Big Nova there from Probe. Lots of Banelings died, but many more left where that came from. RiSky trying to commit here. He's going for the third now, but that's too much Protoss. It's going to be way too much for RiSky to handle. He's got to get out of there.
He does cancel the 4th base attempt on the top at the same time. So once again, I mean, the fact that Probe's just locked on 3 bases, it's like, hey, Probe's taking sick efficient fights here, but he doesn't have the big income to go too deep. So he does have to fight pre-Hive. Now, I think Probe, he doesn't know that the Hive is still quite far away, so he might feel forced to take a fight. I think Probe actually has more time here, and if he can wait for another 3, 4, 5 Archons before actually committing to an engagement, that's where the Banelings, the Ravagers, are going to fall off drastically. They are just not going to be efficient if you get enough Archons up.
I got another run by here into the natural.
One
RiSky's
Baneling.
about to have +2, but he doesn't quite have it there. But the Baneling gets killed anyway. Lings kind of run through, deny some mining time, but don't find any critical damage. Or run by into the main base. Now they've got +2 attack.
Yeah,
Probe committing on the other side of the map.
Here. I mean, Probe's just like only on 3 base, just massing units. He's looking for that fight. He's going to come north. Just a couple Disruptors in the mix. It's mostly just Stalkers and Archons. Still only 3 Archons though. And this really, like I said, is the one thing I'm worried about. You want tankiness here. If you can get a few more Archons tanking, that's going to be massive.
The Archons to the front. I mean, the Baneling's going into the cluster. The Stalkers here. Oh, and he got a Disruptor as well. RiSky finding some nice connections.
Yeah, that was way too clumped there for Probe. I feel like if he just spread his units out, he would have done way better. His Stalkers are blinking forward. He's trying to stop him getting up that ramp, but I think that was a great opportunity for Probe. I don't think he really capitalized on it. He's got a lot of gas in the bank, but he's basically just got Zealots and Stalkers on a one-directional angle. And I think with that army just getting a bit overeager, the Archon count that I mentioned not being ready yet, it feels like RiSky here took a series of bad trades, but then with that one fight just obliterates the sentries, gets rid of the Archons, takes the complexity out of Probe's army, and I actually think RiSky's in an amazing position now.
Force field there to stop the Banelings from getting in that Probe line. They will one-shot the Probes to go for the sentries instead. Do not get the kills. Probe trying to bully the Zerg away from that big open area. The Banelings are looking for a cluster of Stalkers again. Probe pulls back, blinks to get a bit of a spread on the Banelings as well.
Yeah,
they go for the Immortals with the Banelings.
Lovely spready there from Probe. He's just down on army though, and as the Zerglings come in, doesn't have anything left. The Bile take out the Warp Prism, 2 Red Hit Point Immortals. That's all that's left over. And RiSky here manages to batter Probe down in map number 1. A series of good engagements for the Protoss player, but in the end, RiSky, he just finds a few too many openings, keeps Probe off the 4th base for so long, keeps him chasing those run-bys around the bases, and one overextension on the north side, a little bit of miss micro there from Probe, keeping his army very clumped, letting the Banelings through the force fields. Takes a massive amount of splash damage, and the Stalker army does go down.
It was looking like Probe was doing pretty well in that game, specifically his opener. Like it wasn't anything critical. He wasn't getting incredible drone damage or any drone damage or anything like that. But he was pushing back the creep. He was keeping RiSky on his side of the map, and he was keeping RiSky on the back foot. And even with that big first initial Baneling attack, RiSky did not expect a Purification Nova to just appear and delete like 15, 20 Banelings, which definitely happened. And Probe took an amazing hold. But you brought it up, and I kind of agree with you in that Probe felt like he was under a lot of pressure to capitalize on that moment, that he's just killed the army. And he's like, oh, I've taken a lot of damage here. The Zerg's no doubt on Hive, or about to have Hive at this point. That, as we could see, that wasn't the case. It's hard to know otherwise with your, as Protoss, unless you're just constantly sending hallucinated Phoenixes into the main base of the Zerg.
I think there was a little bit of a missed opportunity, like right there, for RiSky to still move Banelings around the north side of the natural nexus and take out a bunch of probes there. But at the same time, I mean, the dynamic here was that Ravager Baneling is not good if you get enough Archons, good force field, spread your army out, and that there was just a massively botched engagement. I mean, forget for a moment the fact that he did have enough gas for a few more Archons. He had a lot of time before the Broodlords were in. You just have to spread your units out against that. And that's Stalkers are all about their flexibility and the way you can blink those around and take good angles. After that fight, Probe was stuck on a weak army. He'd lost all of his splash damage, all of his big tanky Archons, that complexity. And with such a slow 4th base, RiSky, he was a base up on workers, 22 workers up on economy for a long time in that game. All he needs is one good fight like that. He's got the Broodlord tech on the way. He didn't even need to use it. Just pushed on the 4th base, managed to break Probe. Awesome play by RiSky.
Yeah, very great performance from him. Dominant even, and tying it up 1 apiece. So both players with a map on the board here in this best of 7, thanks to the winner's bracket advantage. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, the next map between Probe and RiSky in the Oceanic Final. We'll see you then.
always leaving, reading this on my phone. I ain't got nothing left to say. I hear you getting angry when I'm out the door. What can I do to change your mind? You know I'll always be right. Don't give it up, don't let it go. You got to know it's alright. Don't give it up, don't let it go. You got to know it's alright. Don't give it up, don't let it go. You've got to know it's alright. When I get home early, you never have a word to say. So I have to break this down. You say that I'm a fool now, and you're never gonna leave me. You sound just like your mother. At least we're talking to each other. Don't give it up, don't let it go. You got to know it's alright. Don't give it up, don't let it go. You got to know it's alright.
Hope you guys enjoyed that break. Nothing but bangers from my private playlist. Pig and I are certainly enjoying them. And we are going to get into technically game 3 here between Probe and RiSky in this best of 7. This is now a best of 5 from here on out. Probe's map advantage gone away. Now it's even across the board.
Yeah, I mean, Probe fought hard for that, remember? Clawing back his series against Seether yesterday from down 0-2 to win, go through undefeated into this grand finals, which is why he had that 1-0 advantage. I think things looked pretty good from Probe in that last game. Real calm, methodical play. I was looking for the splash damage the whole time. Then I was like, oh, he's just going to go very slow disruptors. But it was more just about, hey, let's create a big Stalker Immortal Archon ball. Take good, careful engagements. Just never give the Ravager Baneling a chance to really get those big hits. And yeah, you'll eventually win. You don't need as much economy. As long as you hit pre-Broodlord, you're going to break him. Well, unfortunately, the Baneling's got the big hits. And as you said, we now see ourselves in a much more even match here. It becomes essentially a best of 5. The next map, another chance of a big, long macro game. It's going to be Eternal Empire.
Certainly is. Oh, excuse me.
All yours, Maynard, all yours.
We are jumping on in at our first player here from Legacy, the Australian Protoss. He is Probe.
Looks like he might be wanting to cannon rush with this high ground pylon. Let's see exactly what his opponent has in response to whatever madness is coming his way. Down here in the bottom left, in the blue, representing Lions, it is RiSky.
That's right, the Lions. Block sports Lions, not blockchains. We established that. And it is just a high ground gateway so far here from Probe.
It could be the parting build, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Does go down there. So that's going to be interesting to see. How exactly does this play kind of go through on that next step? You know, normally this is made to look like just a very normal build, but... Oh my God. Okay. Oh, this is the parting special. This is such a disgusting build. So he's sending another probe across to get spotted by the Overlord. He's like, oh, look, it's a normal probe. I'm just here to scout. If you're going hatch first or early pool, RiSky has no idea. And, I mean, this is one of those ones you spot it so late. I find this so difficult to play against because they're almost always going to get up the robo, get up the shield batteries, and it's just such a nightmare to deal with. I'm going to RiSky's camera just to try and catch when he actually realizes what is going on. And he's like, hey, why is that probe over there? Drone comes over. Yeah. He is gonna know. The question is, second gas stolen. So Probe doesn't want to deal with a lot of Ravagers. He might just go for a lot of Speedlings to try to bust out of this.
You can go a lot of Speedlings. I've seen some players try and go for Banelings as well, which I like a lot less. Yeah, I mean, that is a very good point there, is taking that second gas. Normally, the Zerg, when they're up against this, they're like, oh, okay, quickly second gas, let's start that Roach Warren. Of course, he could grab one in the natural instead.
Yeah.
But this is still going to be tough to hold, even if he got the Roach Warren up, and even if he got the, the Lings up with Ling speed, which he does start, by the way.
I mean, RiSky, he's been in these situations a lot of times. He plays on that EU ladder. I'm sure players like, Grim Reaper and so on, his fellow UK player, have given him a lot of practice with this sort of stuff. And Creep Shimmer does go down there on the high ground. Has real calm. He's even continued droning a little bit, up to 22 drones. Ling speed on the way. He's pulled off gas fully. Third Queen on the way. Single Spy going to take out the high ground. But the problem, of course, is just the sustained push that's going to come in. Now, it's actually, funnily enough, an observer first. So Probe just wants to get high ground vision to make sure that the Spine and the Queen can't take out the cannon. And then he's going to go into an Immortal right after that. Now, already so many cannons and batteries going down for Probe. And I think realizing he's up against this sort of just hefty mineral-focused response, I think this is the right call. The Immortals actually aren't really a big damage dealer. It's just about having enough cannons and batteries to make sure you survive the Ling Flood. If you can hold on to this position, the Zerg is not droning. Your Observer sees that. You see Zerglings building up. You just need enough firepower to hold on to this proxy.
Well, Probe, I think, is, yes, he is. He's aware of the fact that there is actually a third hatchery for RiSky up to the north side as well. So RiSky does have a little bit of extra production up north side. He's going to use it to make a Queen first. Not making any Lings or anything out of it at the moment, or droning from it or anything.
29 drones, though. He's going higher, and he's going mass Queen. So RiSky's going to play the slow game. He's going to do the delaying tactics. I think Probe thought he was getting busted. But now he sees all these drones. Probe's kind of got to get a move on with this, right? It suddenly finds himself in a situation where it's like, hey, wait a second. Oh, man, I got to build a cannon at home as well. And RiSky's saying, okay, you've got the position, but guess what? I've got 3 bases of production. I've got 10 more workers. And technically, if I engage on this, I'm going to get absolutely smashed. But if I buy enough time, maybe I snap that Warp Prism. I'm going to have so many Queens. Maybe I get so many Zerglings, I can just overwhelm it. But the thing is, don't get me wrong, if RiSky gets impatient, he will be in trouble. He has to hang on for several more minutes and be very careful about where he commits these Zerglings.
Now, the Zerglings on the other side of the map do get deflected from that one cannon of Probe, taking a fair bit of damage on the gateway. And Probe's going to start pushing forward with the Immortals, being so careful, so slow here. And he's going to get that one Spine Crawler. The Ling's coming on back home. Prism is here for the Immortals. Yeah, RiSky cannot commit with all the units just yet, I feel. Too many cannons, too many shield batteries.
Yeah, he's going to start to wear down the transfuse energy at the very least. You can't really stand and fight. So good pullback here by RiSky. Anytime he does this, he's buying time. He's buying valuable seconds. I mean, look at the supply. It's 80 supply Zerg. And I do think, off this work account, 36 drones. I mean, he's just going to get too many out. If you don't have like a Colossus or something that's actually crazy efficient against the Zerglings, I do actually think this is going to scale. I think RiSky here, he's actually hung on enough. And, I mean, the Queens can even drain a lot of this energy from the shield batteries, technically. Now, don't get me wrong, cannons are still amazing, but there's only 5 cannons worth of damage, 2 Immortals, soon to be a 3rd one. I mean, Probe's being super efficient. It's just a matter of, will it scale well enough against this many Zerg units?
And here it comes. The Lings from RiSky decide that now is the time. They stream into that SimCity, that dungeon, that gauntlet of Protoss static defense, or I guess static offense in this case. Probe's shield battery is holding strong, though. All the Lings are gone. That position on the Immortal, fantastic as well.
Oh my gosh, and he's done it. He does hold on. A great, as you said, a gauntlet of batteries and cannons. And he even was picking up those Immortals and dropping them in the choke points. Problem there, the Zerglings were not able to get the surface area. A great fight for Probe, and he does wear it down. I mean, I thought maybe RiSky was going to teach us something about what 100 Zerglings can do, but it turns out a bunch of cannons and shield batteries saying, And, oh, nice little surround there from RiSky, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, he goes for one last hurrah, but this is just too much Protoss, guys.
Oh,
the numbers are not quite there. Oh, yeah,
almost out of energy. So he's lost all of his energy,
on the way,
but then there's no Zerg units left. Yeah, it's like, he's like, I got rid of the energy. Wait, oh no, I've got nothing to capitalize. And the thing is, if the first break doesn't work, that energy just keeps regenerating. So the Protoss is trading just energy for units here. If you don't make a big bit of damage on breaking this with the first attack, you just run out of steam. And even though there's so many Queens trying to recycle that energy, a nice sniping build there from Probe comes out. It's a parting special. It's one of the best builds to have in your arsenal and a great way to just take a sneaky map.
That's right. Parting was showing us that in the first season of 2020, and it's cool to see it still alive in Season 2. Probe whipping it out for the qualifiers there for the DreamHack Summer. And that means he has the advantage once again in this series. Of course, still a couple more maps for him to win if he wants to get that qualification spot and the big bucks and all the EPT points. RiSky currently down has to win 3 in a row from this point on. Now, that was one of the bigger maps, so he kind of removes, you know, what I kind of wanted to see was like, what do the bigger maps look like between 2 macro players? This was pretty far from a macro game pick.
Yeah, it's such a good angle to take advantage of on this map, though. It's just like, hey, you've got this nice little corner there. You can kind of build this rush around, and just a very methodical play from Probe. RiSky tried to play a little bit of a different way of dealing with it, you know, and did not quite work out for him. There is an argument behind trying to do the spine wall version. You get like 4 spines in a row, and because they're superior range, they kind of force, you know, so much damage that the Immortals can't engage into them. The problem is that they attack too slowly. So with good micro, you can always dodge those with good quick pickups on the Prism. The Queens here, of course, just so many hit points, so many transfuses. Just not enough. Just not enough. I think if you play this style, I actually prefer you doing it, where you take that third and you try to sneak a lair, get a bit of gas, and just say, come to me. You know, put the pressure on the Protoss. I think there's a surprising amount of time that it actually takes the Protoss player to push in. But it's whenever you fight them, the shield batteries and the cannons, the Protoss player kind of just gets to hold that wall. Once they survive, they're in a good spot. So I would have liked to sneaky mutas, maybe try to get out some swarm hosts or something like that. It's a hard ask, though. It's a dodgy position. And now RiSky has got to have that fear in the back of his head on the rest of these maps.
He certainly does. And the next map here is going to be Pillars of Gold, one of the more medium rush distance maps. We'll see how both these players want to play it out. It's a tough one to predict. Both of them are clearly able to play that super late game PvZ, but they're also clearly able to turn on the source and get cheesy as well. So, yeah, it's a tough one to predict. I'm just along for the ride, Pig. Sure you are as well. We're just going to be, it's just going to be a good time tonight now, how you slice it.
For anyone who's just tuning in, of course, the winner of this series goes through to the DreamHack Masters Summer big finals event. It is an important seed and a lot of money on the line here as well. Of course, now with a 2-1 advantage up here in the top right of Pillars of Gold, representing Legacy, he is Probe.
And currently down in the series in the bottom left here. Get frisky for him. It's your boy RiSky. Rocking the icon of a player that performed very well yesterday.
Indeed. And you know, I love some of those portraits. Such a cool kind of like brings back that, like, you know, Roman conqueror sort of style to the art.
Yep.
And love that set. Big thanks to Nick, of course, for creating those beautiful portraits over the years.
Nicholas Chassois, a easy follow on Twitter, a very talented individual. And yeah, it's unfortunate that we're not seeing any more portraits coming out. Hopefully that changes in the future. He's so gifted, so talented, and it was like a huge blessing for StarCraft to have it as well.
Yeah, any one of those players who played at one of those BlizzCons that has one of those portraits in game feels really happy to see such cool art there. And I'm just happy you saved me from pronouncing his last name, so I didn't have to butcher it live on broadcast.
I'm pretty sure it's Chassois, but if I'm wrong, I mean, I'm always open to be wrong. Look, put it this way, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. Hopefully not just now.
Yeah, it's better than me saying Chausois on broadcast.
Chassois.
Chausois, mate.
I mean, worst comes to worst, we can just say that we're, you know, ignorant Australians. We barely speak English, and we know one language. Like we know 0.75 of one language, so please don't judge us too harshly. All the Europeans out there that speak like 7 languages.
Well, it is going to be a rather late scout here by Probe. Just saying, you know what? I'm up 2-1. Let's go, man. You know, going to go for a super efficient opening. Pylon in the back corner. He says, if you want to scout this without speed, Ovi, you are going to sacrifice that Overlord. And I do love a good old Archon drop, but it's going to be Stargate this time around. And no Warp Gate starting up. You know, a lot of people would say, hey, the Overlord sees that's not spinning that's Cyber Core. Therefore, it tells you it's that. There's so many players who just don't start Warp Gate every time they go Twilight anyway, just to pretend. They're like, oh, look, buddy, yeah, making a Stargate, you know? So I think Zerg players at this point, they don't take anything for granted until they actually confirm the tech structures there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was one of those people as well that that thought, like, oh, it's a delayed warp gate. That 100% means Stargate. And then I got to learn over tournaments and just watching pro players play. I'm like, oh no, they're actually just being sneaky, cheeky.
Yeah. As soon as something means something in StarCraft, people realize that it means that, and they, they start using it to give out false information. There is a constant game of feinting within StarCraft where you're trying to get them to react to something that you're trying to telegraph on purpose, and it's not actually happening. So really nice when that does come out. It's of course going to be an Oracle first here for Probe, and you can see the Zergling and the second Overlord well positioned here for RiSky. He's going to try to get up with that Overlord, wants to see the Oracle. Now, some players have been waiting to show it until both Oracles are out, and I really kind of like that. I think the first time I saw it was like Deer or someone, and he just like snuck the Oracles around the edge of the map, killed 7 drones, and I was like, oh, okay, this is actually amazing, just non-stop chrono boosting 2 Oracles, hiding them really well. If your opponent doesn't know what's coming, it can be very powerful.
Most of the things that Protoss want to do at this point you do kind of want Spore Crawlers to defend them. So we're already seeing some blind spores up for RiSky, albeit not that blind. Dropping that Roach Warren as well, because also the Roach Warren also at the same side of things stops a lot of what Protoss can do in the early game. We are seeing a lot of links getting made from RiSky right now. A ton of links being made, in fact. And against double Oracle.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there, Maynard. A little bit of delay there, my bad. But I was just saying, immediate spores go down. He spots it straight away, even evacuates the drones. And yeah, he's going to deny any third base at the same time, right? So this is a pretty good opening for RiSky.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's going to be very, very tough for Probe to get that third Nexus down. He sends out his small cluster of Adepts, but they're out in the open, Pig. I'm a little worried here.
Oh, get to the mineral line. Every time I see Adept sitting in the open like that, I feel so nervous. The pylon is up. Probe will no doubt shuffle those Adepts in between the Nexus and the pylon soon, but if he doesn't get them before these Zerglings jump on him, he could be in trouble. Good shuffle there by Probe. Only one Adept. Oh no!
Oh no!
He messes up his micro. He had one Adept on the outside, so he tried to shuffle in, and now he loses all 3 for free.
And that means the third base is almost certainly cancelled here. The Oracle's going to come back. Actually, they do have a lot of juice, a lot of hit points still on that third base, so the links do get deflected, but still, killing those Adepts is quite nice for RiSky.
I think the only downside here for RiSky is that he's not droning as hard as he could be, committing to so many Zerglings so early. I'd love to see him really hitting the drones. He actually built 4 Roaches for safety. I think he thought there might have been some Adepts following this up. It's actually a rather standard follow-up for Probe. I mean, he's got Immortals, he's got Sentries, but it's all off just 2 gates. So there's no way any aggression comes out here for Probe. And as a result, you really, if you're a RiSky fan, want to see him go to 60, 65 drones, and only then start pumping out the units and heading up the tech tree.
So you think with all the gas that's being taken here, is RiSky going to go for a Spire or keep up with the Roach Ravager Ling Bane? It looks like at the moment it's the latter.
Yeah, I think Ravager Ling Bane's great. Protoss are playing so low tier in terms of their tech. They're so obsessed with the Blink Stalkers, and Ling Bane Ravager, one of the best styles to reactively stop any pushes. If the Protoss kind of surprises you, commits really hard, hey, turn 10 of those Roaches into Ravagers, turn an extra 20 Zerglings into Banelings. It's the best style to immediately, with very little time, react to an incoming attack and just shut it down. So as long as you don't take too long to get up to your hive and open up your late game tech, it's a very solid style, very well rounded. And on this map as well, the 4th base gets spread out really far. So it's hard for Protoss to establish a 4th without opening up angles for Banelings to roll in and take out a lot of those workers.
Well, we are seeing the Spire as well as Ling Bane Ravager here from RiSky, or actually it's Ling Bane Roach at the moment. Oh, bit of a pause, excuse me.
Yeah, just another bathroom break there, as I mentioned. Small bladders all day today. But of course, you never know, count on the keyboard, something like that. This is a situation, though, where it seems like... hey, the music stopped. Hey, it could throw your rhythm off, You're like,
literally,
what the hell?
if you haven't got any rhythm.
Yeah, you got to have that rhythm, man.
That's right. Hopefully you guys can't hear my dog. He's just a giant Probe fan.
I can't hear Loki at all, actually.
That's good.
But
that's good. Yeah, I closed the door because I knew that wife and I'd be home soon and that he'd be really balky. He gets very excited.
As he should. Mum's home. Gotta give her a warm welcome. And I've seen a lot more of this, like, hey, I'm gonna go towards Broodlord tech but not use it lately. This game around, though, seems more and more like, hey, I'm going to build like a whole pack of mutas if I can and shut down warp prisms, fly around the map now. Probe here, he's seen not that many drones, I guess, or something, because he's building a ton of batteries and cannons. It feels like Probe thinks he's about to get hit by an all-in. He's got so many scouts on this map, but I mean, RiSky's actually just chilling right now. So I think Probe here, he's playing a bit scared, and I mean, he's now moving out to a 4th. Do you think, is this just what he does on this map to try to defend the Baneling Ravager attacks?
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't feel confident enough to leave the 3rd to its own devices while moving out for that 4th. It gets a little bit more static defense than the Protoss normally would. He's got a stasis ward here as well. He just seems so paranoid at that 3rd base. I mean, RiSky's... if RiSky was going to go all in, it'd be for the vintage 81 drone all in.
Yeah. And he's definitely going to look for a cancel on the 4th. That's one of the most important things as a Zerg. If you can cancel that 4th. I mean, Ravagers are kind of an artillery unit. You can take advantage of this angle if you can force them to attack into you. Now, Banelings are going to go in and go for the sentries. Can they find the mark? They do manage to... A lot of Archons falling. There's a few Zealots coming in, but the Banelings clean them up. But you know what? Those Ravagers exposed. Oracle's doing a good job. And I think at the end of that trade, it looks pretty good for Probe. He's still got some sentries alive, lost a few Archons, but well worth it for taking out that many Banelings and a couple of the Ravagers.
Yeah, I mean, that was expensive for RiSky. Yeah, you know, I mentioned a few minutes ago that he does have 82 drones, but he's never really had a giant bank. He's not really maxed out ever. So it's not like he had a giant bank and a whole bunch of lava just sitting there and he can just throw a couple armies away. That was still pretty expensive for him. So Probe does hold on, and RiSky is going to get another wave of units out here just to consolidate his forces. There is still quite a few tier 3 scary units from Probe. That is a decent immortal count. 3 Archons as well. He doesn't have a War Prism with this army, though, so can't really commit.
Yeah. Mutas on the left, that's a scary thing. You know, he's built so many cannons and batteries, none in his 3rd mineral line, none in his main mineral line. So he can just pull the probes away and keep them alive, but he's going to lose a whole bunch of mining, and he does need to pull those probes away. Yeah, even the natural super wide
there
open.
as well.
Oh, this is awkward, man. Just a small number of mutas is going to do so much damage. Probe feels like he needs to attack here since he doesn't have the flexibility to deal with this right now.
And he is going to do just that. Lings and Banelings streaming forward for RiSky. The Archon's getting a little bit surrounded there. The Lings are starting to nibble them down one at a time. RiSky's army is actually barreling through. The Ravagers are still pretty healthy here. The backline as well.
He's got to just stand his ground. He can't get out of there, but that means the Immortals will go down. If he can take out the Ravagers at least, it would be something. The Phoenix in the Stalk is actually taking out the mutas there. This is so close.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still an Archon even escapes. There's like I want to keep my Ravagers alive. I want to keep my Archon alive. They both back off. And Probe's economy is okay. It's just he's losing a lot of mining time on his natural. He's got so many probes on his 3rd and his gas especially. It's really messed up right now.
I was getting worried for Probe there for a second. Is it not only because of how this game's going, but also you started a Void Ray. I'm like, mate, are you okay? He cancels that, starts the Phoenix. Hive on the way for RiSky.
I think honestly, Probe is like he's constantly on the edge of stabilizing, but not quite there. And I do, you know, his supply just is a little bit low. It's not technical. He's got a bit of Storm in his army now, but I actually think he accidentally morphed some of his higher energy, high Templar into one of the Archons here. And I'm a little bit worried for Probe here as this next fight comes in. It's just Protoss needs to get more units together, more complexity. Baneling flank is huge.
I love this from RiSky. Gets 2 High Templar, 3 High Templar with the Banelings. And on the right side, a ton of Banes just finished morphing. This might be the kill blow right here. That is so much Zerg.
This is so nicely done here. It's mostly just a handful of Zealots. Doesn't have that much behind this. And it feels like RiSky is just going to be able to waltz through and take down that army. I mean, Probe has constantly been on the edge of surviving. But remember, that's been up against a Zerg with a gigantic economy all game long, just like map number 1. Over 80 drones the entire time, up against a Protoss barely on 3 bases, and I don't think Probe was in a position where he could afford the damage that those mutas dealt. A good surprise swing in, and I would say traditionally something which does find a weak point in Probe. He's often caught unprepared by those sneaky muta squads, so a really nice move by RiSky.
Yeah, a very good play there. Maybe some preparation coming in for his opponent. You know, RiSky felt like he wasn't favored against Probe, that Probe is potentially the stronger player here, but it is a tied-up series 2 apiece right now. It felt like after that first attack on the fourth, excuse me, of Probe, the Zerg army traded badly enough for Probe to be in a pretty decent spot. But you're absolutely right. things absolutely tipped in the scales of the Zerg when those mutas showed up, and Probe just seemed woefully unprepared. He kind of had an Archon here at the third base, but it seems stuck, maybe like in a little bit of a, it's too thick for the SimCity to get into the mineral line to fight back. Or, I mean, even if it was there, the mutas can just go into the natural, which is also fully naked, so it doesn't really matter. You know, it was something that Probe was just woefully unprepared for.
Yeah, I think just little things, right? This fight here as well was something which is actually really bad for Probe, just because of where the economy's at. It's like a relatively even trade. If he's on 75 workers and didn't have 30 workers all stacked up on his third base right now, this is okay for Probe. The problem is just that income disparity, right? You can't lose the complexity of these units. You need more Archons, more Immortals, you need Storm, you need to get all this together in order to hold these next couple of engagements. And because he wasn't able to do that, RiSky does get in control. Yeah, I think, honestly, you look at this as Probe and you say, you know, there was unnecessary chaos going back to those first Adepts being out of position. And I think that just slowed everything down a little bit. Missing the Mutalisks, you know, a single cannon in the third mineral line or something like that would have made his life so much easier if he had any warning of those Mutalisks coming across the map.
Yeah, he was very paranoid at third base. He had a lot of shield batteries, he had a couple cannons, but they just weren't in the mineral line. They were on the front door there. We're going to take a short break. When we return, going to be the next map here for Probe and RiSky, essentially a best of 3 from here on out. We'll see you then. G'day, mates. Welcome back to StarCraft in the Oceanic region. I am Maynard, with me is Pig, and we are technically 4 games into this best of 7 already, which means we only have potentially 3 more at a maximum here. And of course, a couple wins in a row means that one of these players is going to go through and be a qualified player for the region. What are your thoughts on the series so far?
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. Interestingly, it kind of feels a little bit like Probe is having a repeat of his experiences with Seether yesterday, where it does feel a little bit like he's just kind of not quite getting his defense together in time. And, you know, these attacks getting a little bit too much momentum. So I don't know if there's any really big adjustments needed by Probe. I think he just needs to kind of solidify everything and get his defense down in that mid game just a little bit tighter, better positioning, better map awareness, and I think we're going to see some longer games.
Yeah, he's had such a good win rate in general in this tournament. He had only lost one map up until this stage, or up until Seether rather, which was a lot closer, which you'd expect because those guys are so closely matched in skill and historically as well. Same deal for him and RiSky. It is neck and neck right now, with the player winning the next map, taking the advantage and going to match point in the grand final. We're at the business end. Countdown, as you can hear, has ended, and we're loading up into our next map.
It's going to be Death Aura. We've got some speedy zones. It's an awesome map. And as you said, Maynard, tied up 2 maps apiece. Protoss versus Zerg. A map where often it feels like this race chooses kind of what type of game it's going to be. You know, what sort of opening, how aggressive are they going to be? Down here in the bottom right-hand side, representing Legacy, it is Probe.
Yeah, and at the top left here in the red, the UK New Zealand challenger from Block Sports Lions. He is RiSky.
It's going to be interesting to see what comes out here. You know, does Probe just try to lock things down a little bit more? Does he just try to get up a little bit smoother? RiSky's been so consistent in how he's playing that I don't think you look at this and go, oh, that Ravager Ling Bane macro style from Zerg is so unbeatable. You know, I think you kind of look at this and say, hey, I should just be hanging on to that 3rd and that 4th base a little bit better. You know, game 1 was looking great for Probe, even with his 4th being delayed as it was, and he just kind of didn't quite get his push going the way it was needed. So I don't know if Probe's necessarily going to try something drastically different. I love that Probe movement. You can see RiSky there a little bit freaked out from the earlier cannon rush. Pulls 3 drones immediately. Probe barely even committing to the fake out, but even that's enough to just get a little bit of fear running through RiSky's veins.
Indeed. And it is such a mental game right now. We're getting to the business end, and it's getting more and more critical that both players make fewer and fewer mistakes as we get closer and closer. Not too many more chances left. Can't believe how close we are already to the end. This thing feels like it just started yesterday.
No bully, shout those 2 drones, and they do push the Probe out of the base. But just good scouting here by Probe. Good little bits of harassment. He has put that Stargate in the very back of his base. He's got super smooth cast mining. So a bit of a standard opening. Remember that Probe cut a bit of a corner in the opening. Much later scout in that previous map. And he is going to be going Stargate one more time. You know, Oracle openings, it's so execution based. You can see everything out on that map, but if you miss one thing, you're just so much slower up into that next tech, into those ground army units. You are more fragile. So you need to micro just right. You need to see what's coming, and you need to be able to adapt to it. Probe here, confident he's going to be able to do that. Just going to go for this very stock standard Protoss vs Zerg once again.
That's right. Yeah, just the Adept Stalker into Stargate. The standard as standard goes here. I mean, a couple of people, I guess, go to Adept into Stargate, but it is a little bit more common to go for this Stalker second now, just to shoo away that Overlord.
Yeah, just checking. We'll, of course, see a lot of drones in the natural, all normal on the Zerg side of the map. And Stalker, of course, guarding the wall. I mean, RiSky doesn't seem to fear the wildness here. You know, he hasn't been committing to OV speed. Obviously, seeing the Stargate is a great start for RiSky as well. The fact that he knows that's coming. And it is just kind of a good head start to things where you kind of have a bit of a heads up of what's going on. And I think Sporkroller already starting in the main base, taking no risks is RiSky.
Yeah, it's his namesake, right?
Yeah.
I like the Evo chamber in the back of the natural here.
Him and Innovation, both just making us sound silly every time we say anything about them.
Innovation, not really innovative. Patience, not really patient. Special is pretty special. So
yeah, that is actually, that's true. He does bring out some of those special builds, but most players, if it's a verb or a characteristic, an adjective, I should say, sorry, they normally don't live up to it. But I like the quick melee adjustment. You found the adepts out of position last game, gave you some momentum. This time, quick melee upgrade, and of course that often does mean the Zerg wants to go to Hydra Bane afterwards, get away with defending with just Zerglings and Queens, get straight into the Hydralisk tech, and have a really quick start on that +1 melee, straight into +2 melee, which of course is such a big power point when you're attacking with Hydra Bane.
+1 attack. I mean, I actually really like melee builds in ZVP, and a few Zergs really do favor it. And he is doing the correct thing here against the Stargate opener, which is just go really, really heavy on the drones. Not a whole lot on the ground to be afraid of. Of course, Probe is going to pull out a Stargate shortly and start going for the ground pound. Now that Robo is done, starts that Immortal back at home.
I like that it was only one Oracle this time. So one Oracle, one Phoenix, very conservative play from Probe. And, you know, RiSky's playing, as we mentioned, very safe here. He's actually building quite a lot of Zerglings, but he's kind of just leaving them at home for the moment. There is a quicker third base here for Probe, who's thinking about going out with his adepts, but he's doing it super patiently and carefully. He even shades back. He's just looking to push back some of the vision. But overall, I mean, this is about as defensive as you can get for both sides. None of them wanting to expose themselves at all, and neither one wanting to overcommit into the other. It's just like non-stop scouting, poking around, checking what's going on. And very quick 6 gases there for Probe. So I think he's going to be going straight into some Archons, maybe even some Psystorm or Disruptors.
Oh, RiSky's got a very dedicated assault heading towards that third base, but it is just Lings. And Probe's got some stasis wards, so he's going to try his luck at the natural.
Yeah, that's a ton of Zerglings. Those units are a little bit far out there, so very, very unfortunate move for Probe. He should have stayed at the shield battery, and he could have just overcharged. There was no risk on his natural wall in whatsoever. Gives up a few sentries and a bit of an unnecessary opening. You got to remember, as aggressive as RiSky's being, he's still got a good economy, and he's got very quick Hydralisk tech going up behind this. So you got to be careful here as Probe. You can't leave any more openings.
Oh, speaking of openings, the Lings just walked straight in. What an unfortunate game for Probe here. RiSky just straight into the Probe line. Mistakes like this are just not acceptable at this level. RiSky is going to punish him every time.
I mean, this was RiSky here, just massing Zerglings, looking for an opening. I think, honestly, when he saw the shield batteries and the Oracle sitting at home, he probably didn't feel too good about it. But now counting his blessings as he gets in here, gets an obscene amount of damage done, just the mining time alone. But, I mean, here we go. Oh, my God, even gets another pylon, delaying those upgrades massively. A good force field, but just look at how long this is taking Probe to clean everything up. And what looked like, I thought, a great strategic choice of just going up the tech tree quicker, probing really hard. Just, unfortunately, any lead Probe was going to have going into the mid-game undone by those Zerglings, and now Probe's kind of behind a little bit on everything. I guess the one thing that is going his way is the fact that RiSky, I mean, he's going into quick Hydras. It looks like he wants to go for an attack, but it's very committed. His fourth base is super late, so it seems almost like essentially a pure Hydralisk attack coming across this map. And, you know, the stasis traps, there is 4 Immortals. Shield Battery Overcharge is a massive ability. And with charge and +1, as long as those, I mean, he needs that charge upgrade desperately, and it's not quite ready, Maynard.
Yeah, not quite yet. It feels like Probe is maybe like 30 seconds to 40 seconds away from being really stable here. RiSky is droning up right now, feeling like, maybe this attack won't go so well. He doesn't have a ton of upgrades on these units. Like the +2 attack would be really sweet here. A lot of Banelings would be amazing. Just Hydraling. Gotta pull back, I think.
+2 timing, yeah. I mean, I like the idea of pulling back, right? It's almost like he's looking to deny a fourth, but Probe was so set back by the Zerglings that he's like not even thinking about it. He's like, dude, I just got to hang on and get my Archons and Immortals here. So, I mean, Probe's in a great defensive setup. He's going to move out for a 4th base now. And I think it's all going to be about just hanging on to these 4 bases against what is most likely going to be an onslaught of +2 Banelings. That +2 is just so quick in this game. And with no splash damage, it's all going to be about Archons and Immortals being in the right position. There's only a single sentry out on the map. I do like the SimCity here from Probe, though.
Yeah, being very careful. Obviously, that leak has been plugged, and hopefully a giant Ling run by doesn't just happen again automatically. RiSky starting to morph. 23 Banelings here as +2 is done, and looks like he wants to get aggressive again. He's expanding. Look at this 5th base location. way out in the middle of the map here on the far right for the double rich gas geyser.
Yeah, that's kind of funky. I mean, he's got a Spire, but no signs of Hive here. And I think this is actually a pretty good way to play against Probe. You know, the idea of going into the mutas, just say mid-game for life. The problem here on Death Aura is look at the choke points leading into these bases, look at the scouting, look at how set up Probe is on the defense. And I look at this and I say, in other situations, I might like it. Oh, actually, Storm's not done yet, so there's no massive splash damage ready quite yet. If he can cancel this fourth, it'd be massive for RiSky, and I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, it's going to be a cancel for sure. Nice move there from RiSky. He may want to pull back, though. He's going to try his luck. Going to get the Banelings to the front of the pack, but see if he can trade against this army of Probe. Storm is about to finish, though. RiSky don't overextend here.
Oh, he's definitely overextending if he continues. He's got to pull back, and now that he sees Storm's done, he's got to get out of there.
Yeah, absolutely right. His army does not beat this army. Not at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a big pickoff, though. You're on 90 drones as RiSky. You just killed the fourth. We're now looking at a Zerg player who's just like, oh, cool. So how are you planning to win this Zerg versus Protoss war, RiSky? And he's like, well, we're going to throw money at it. And he's not going to be able to keep up, man. Like 90 drones or 68 probes. He's going to go for another big wave of Hydra Zergling Baneling against a 3-base Protoss who can barely afford to get High Templar to gather Storm energy right now. Don't get me wrong, this could still work for Probe. He's got to have perfect defense, though, because behind it, there is going to be a massive swap into Mutalisks. So if Probe takes too much damage, he's just going to be too busy rebuilding ground units, and the Mutaswap will catch him off guard.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We've already seen him get caught off guard by it one time on Pillars of Gold. See if it happens. Oh my god, that's so many mutas. That double rich Vespene gas. He's essentially getting like 12 drones worth of gas mining right now. It's absolutely insane.
Probe's just cornered up in his side of the map right now. He doesn't really have any scouting. All he's thinking about is where the next ground assault's going to come from. His third base is relatively well covered by shield batteries, but his main, natural, and fourth mineral lines are all kind of wide open for those mutas. Infestation Pit, of course, going to open up the Hive Tech behind this, but look at this. Great posturing from RiSky, looking for openings. He's going to get the fifth base, sniped on the left with the Zerglings, and at the same time, his army does get cornered. A few Hydras do go down.
Yeah, and those Archons speeding up in the acceleration zone there. Yeah, losing that Nexus does certainly sting, but we've got the mutas in the main base. Probe warping in Stalkers, but look how many mutas there are. They just stand there and fight, and they take the Stalkers down. High Templar defensively storming over here at the third. Probe just going through the middle of the map with a big counterattack. Gonna try and end it here.
It's very hard to kill a Hydra Bane. The big storms on the right-hand side. He's still got a lot of storm left over.
Nice
and he's going to move straight through the speedy zone. Remember, a choke point looks scary, but those units just boost right through it. More Banelings coming in, though. They're going to be absolutely integral. The High Templar are gone. The Immortals are going to go down. And RiSky just barely hangs on the defense while absolutely annihilating Probe's economy with his Mutalisks.
No, you're absolutely right, Ping and Probe. He's got a bit of money in the bank, but he can't really spend it at the moment. The mutas have done a lot of damage to him. He's got Warpins on the front line, Warpins back at home. He's sending charge lots across the map and just hoping for the best, but it's desperation right now from Probe. He's on the back foot for sure. He's against the ropes, loses that prism. Not going to be able to reinforce this too easily. He's going to have to walk in from the fourth base at least here. And, I mean, do you go home? Going home feels like a mistake. Going forward feels like a mistake. Probe just between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I think you try to go home and recover here. Believe in the power of Protoss. Get a few more Archons. Maybe get another High Templar. But this High Templar out in the open, he's got to keep that alive. It's his only splash damage right now. I think these Phoenix can deal with the mutas. He's got a chrono around of probes. Just try to get more Archons and weather the storm. You know, it's... at least he knows about the mutas now and cleans them up, right? So it's like, well, at least you've just got one problem. It's the same problem that's been here all game. 40,000 Hydras and Banelings just crashing through the front. And thankfully, I mean, we know this. I don't know if Probe knows it, but that Hive has only just started. And there is always hope. When you are defending with batteries, cannons, and Psystorm against Lingbane Hydra, there's always hope to have just a really beautiful defensive engagement.
Oh, he does certainly have a lot of units that trade well against this, but the numbers might just not be on his side. Army supplies are quite close. Banelings coming up the ramp actually go crash into an Archon, so Probe does all right up there. On the low ground, though, he needs Storms to assist.
Probe's just got to keep getting a few more High Templar in here. I mean, his Immortal count got cleansed earlier, and the problem with single Robo is you can't really get more Immortals. Now, you might think, well, Immortals aren't really the most important unit. And they aren't, but they are just so tanky and solid, right? And when you're looking at just +1 attack on your units, you're looking at a Zerg with +2 melee, almost +2 range. It becomes very important to have a solid base to this army, and right now it's just a Zealot Archon High Templar blob. He does not have much going for him, does Probe. He's got to at least push this creep back.
Yeah, it's so hard for him to do, though. Every time he gets out on that creep, RiSky's going to be ready to sandwich that army with lots of Lingbane. Look at these active tumors just right near the lip of that 4th base of probe.
Baneling's coming in on the left-hand side. Oh.
High Templar survives thanks to shield batteries.
Whoa!
Whoa! Hello!
Yeah, that's all he needs. I mean, Probe's been hanging on by a thread. And yeah, RiSky decides to snip that thread, you know? He was hanging off the side of the cliff. He stomps on his fingers and says, yeah, you barely had a fingernail's grip on this game. But obviously, RiSky's got all the money in the world and just good positional play, moving in from multiple sides. And ultimately, Jade, it's getting too far out of control, you know? It's an untouched Zerg for the early game, textbook early defense, and RiSky just overwhelming with massive number advantage.
Yeah, surrounds of the Archons, even the engagement not going well for Probe at the moment. Nice storm in the pack of those Hydras there. The army supply of Probe is a bit bigger right now.
Was I calling it too early?
Oh, you know what? RiSky doesn't have any Lava Pig at the moment.
What?
He's just making Lingbane and not that much of it.
He's out of minerals as well, Maynard. I honestly, I'm a little, yeah, whoa. He's got great income still, but the income advantage has been so epic. I mean, this is, there's no Banelings ready just yet. Oh my God. The Hydras, the Archons, the Zealots are getting on top of the Hydras. This is a big problem. That's the only consistent firepower.
No.
This is so insane. If he wins this, that's crazy.
And there are High Templar with Storms available as well. RiSky just using every single lava to make Lings here. They're just going straight into Lings, but Lings kind of suck at this point. RiSky's upgrade's definitely better than Probe's. You know, Probe never started +2 in this game. He's been +1 this whole time. So in that regard, maybe RiSky could actually win the engagement. This army from Probe, all these Storms and Archons.
It's a good arc of Hydralisks, though. One Archon falls, another Archon falls. As these Archons go down, that's where the Zergling reinforce gets scary, but there's still 3 Archons left. 1 High Templar that'll have another Storm soon. The Zealots, they've got to evade those Banelings.
Nice pullback on the Zealots there, getting them out of the Banelings. They are going to be his lifeline for a Ling reinforcement. Probe's sending all of his minerals into Zealots at the moment. Starts up an Immortal here, and he's being so slow with this that maybe the window's closing.
Okay, RiSky has finally pulled off the rich gases, realizing, holy damn, 4K gas in the bank. I may have gone a bit too hard on the gas, guys. Yeah. He's really got to transition workers to that top right base. That's the one where he's only got a handful of workers on the minerals. Could make more use of that base. More Zergling Baneling looking for those run buys. Remember, Probe's economy has been rather weak for a long time here, but Archon's in position to defend. He's got cannon set up as well. Oh, man.
More Storms.
Wow! He's got to be careful here. Does RiSky. I mean, Probe here looking to resurrect himself in this game.
Oh my God.
It's actually big.
That left side Storm. So sick.
2 more Archons come in. Wow, those
God.
Archons. I cannot believe this. RiSky is down to so few units right now. It's 3 Hydras, 25 Zerglings. He's got 12 more on the way. He's producing like a madman. He's so far ahead on the upgrades. I really think RiSky needs to just be super careful with his Hydras. He's got to be careful, spread them out, come from 2 or 3 sides. They're just eating a bit too much Storm. It's the Hydras that are going to give him the ability to gun down the Archons. The moment he loses that in a fight, and there's still 2 or 3 Archons left over, the Zerglings are worthless. So RiSky here, his Queen's getting caught out. A good start to this fight. Now remember, there's no Storm. There's a single High Templar, second and third one coming in. They do have Storm energy now, but it's trailing behind the front wall of this army. Probe here, one last push. He's got to do big damage with this if he wants to win this game.
That Storm on the Hydra has softened up every single Hydralist there. They're in the yellow, some in the red. Another High Templar for the left and one more behind it. The Storms have arrived. Can the bad weather make the difference here for Probe? So far, so good. He's attacking into the hatchery. Can he make the comeback happen here? It looks all right. Another Archon on the way. RiSky needs to stop him right here.
Good micro by RiSky, though. Remember, it was all about the Hydras, as I mentioned before, and now he's really realizing he's got to just keep them back. I mean, the hatch goes down. It wasn't the most important base, though. If he can take out these Immortals and Archons, that's where things start to go well. But Hydras rallying into the Charge Zealots, that's never good. And these Hydras still very vulnerable. The Immortal barriers, some of them are starting to recharge here. I like the pullback from Probe, though. These units cannot be replenished. If he can add Storm to this, he beats the Hydras without Storm. If he gets caught on creep, those Immortals and Archons will get surrounded and isolated. So Probe, a good tactical pullback. And I mean, if only he had a DT shrine or something. I feel like a single DT in some of these edge bases would just be a game winner for Probe right now. He's long distance mining. He's down to just scraps of army. And this game is just absolute madness.
I also just really wish, I mean, obviously his gas has been going to Archons and Storms, so it's not as easy said than done, but he never started +2. his army still only has +1 attack. Normally at this point, Protoss is on their way to +3, if not already having it. So his army just doesn't have as much of a punch as it normally should be here, and I'm getting worried for the longevity of his army.
All right, Baneling's in the mineral line. This could be the game winner here for RiSky. He's going to clear out the economy. If he can get his army out of there after that as well, it's going to be a massive win for the Zerg player. There's a lot of Zealots hot on his tail. I'd like to see Probe go up the ramp, actually stop chasing this, and just try to cut off the retreat. If he can isolate the retreat, that's where he's going to get the win.
He just lost a ton of Zealots there to the Banelings. Tried to pull them back and it kind of got blocked by the Immortals and losing those 24 probes. There is no economy here for the Protoss anymore. Probe had his chance. He's still got a chance. His army is equal supply with the Zerg. Once again, the upgrade's not amazing, but he has a lot more Storms now. Look at that energy on the High Templar pig.
Yeah, only 3 Archons, though. 4, sorry. Not enough, in my opinion. His gas ran out on his natural. His 4th base never got a chance to even mine any gas. So this army, suddenly it's looking very bruised. And yeah, the Storms can win, but it's all on RiSky making a mistake. He's off creep. Whoa.
Baneling's on the right side, looking for the center of that pack. If Probe gets a Storm on those Baneling Cocoons, that's absolutely amazing, but I don't think he's going to be able to.
There is still 1 Storm available. There'll be a 2nd and a 3rd in a few seconds. Oh my God!
The creep! In comes the Banelings, in for the High Templar, and RiSky finds the nudge right there. Goodbye, High Templar.
Yeah, just grabs that Protoss army right from the center. Great detonations. Whoo! I mean, that was an almost comeback, an almost epic comeback for Probe there. I think RiSky, he's got to feel good about how the start of that game went, but I think there's a point there where you're going, why won't you die? And then looks at the gas bank as well and is like, why do I have 5k gas in the bank and no minerals? RiSky there playing very well, but, you know, Probe just hanging on tooth and nail, refusing to give in, and almost makes a game of it there. But, I mean, all things considered, it does feel like here was that the first big mistake was before this, even where he'd moved over to defend the natural wall, which was solid. And then after losing those units in the open, he just left his wall undefended. A single probe in the wall, shield battery not ready, and he just took way too much damage to these Zerglings, even though he knew they were coming. So really some uncharacteristic mistakes from Probe. And it's one of these things, he's got that championship quality, right? You know, he'll fight hard from behind, he'll make a game of it. It's just he shouldn't be putting himself so far behind from the get-go.
And Probe's, normally his comfort zone is this sort of longer, you know, PVZ. He's so good with his late game armies, but he had definitely quite a few mistakes here defensively, and also just as far as keeping up with the upgrades, keeping up with the tech. I really feel like upgrades made a big difference here towards the middle of the game when Probe had that, you know, that big army supply spike, and he's like going through the center of the map. If he had +3 on his units, or even +2, maybe the game is already over and it's a Probe advantage. But as we can see it, RiSky made all the right moves. He held on just long enough, and just like you mentioned, Pig, those Hydras, it was all about those Hydras. And he kept them alive, he kept them on creep, and he also had a lovely engagement towards the end there on the high ground.
Yeah, I mean, Probe was giving up so much ground that I think there was just a few points where RiSky was a little over-eager with his engagements, where he was in too much of an aggressive stance, needed to be a little bit more methodical with setting up flanks and surrounds and that sort of thing. And I mean, this obviously the final battle here. Probe, it was way down on economy. He had no reinforce for this, but the Baneling flank just cleansed that army. Only a few Archons with any real hit points left, and the Hydras with +2, gunning them down from the high ground.
All right, well, we are potentially loading into our final map here. It's Ice and Chrome, nice, big, wide map. Plenty of space for both players here. Usually you do get the later games on this one, but we have seen Probe, you know, attack Eternal Empire for the cheeky parting build. I don't know if this map's better for... I don't think this map's a decent one for it, but, well, you know, the jury's out on that one. It's early days, new season map. So, yeah, RiSky on match point, Big. Are you getting nervous for Probe here?
Not at all. Ice and Chrome, he was down 0-2 against Seether. Ice and Chrome came out and he said, you know what? We're going to play a nail-biting 30-minute Protoss versus Terran, where I'm going to build literally every unit in the game and then just win with, like, Disrupted Tempest. I'm going to do a Chad recall on top of your army and take it out. So I think this might actually be Probe's map. This might be the one where he digs deep and starts to tie it up. So down here in the bottom left-hand side, he's got to win the next 2 maps in a row to go through. Representing Legacy, he is Probe.
Certainly is. Not only might it be his map, but it has to be to stay alive in this grand final, because this fine gentleman in the top right is on match point. Get frisky for him. It's RiSky.
Just goes for that 16 hatch opening. He does send the drone out front of his natural to check for an early block on that. And I think Probe just plays very standard here. You know, you mentioned the cannon rush. I think Probe is like, nah, man, this is it. You know, like he goes back to standard play. And I think hopefully some of that hanging on, you know, like I said, tooth and nail, just fighting for his life in that last game. If he can bring that intensity, that attention to detail to the first 7 minutes, first 8 minutes of the game, I think we're going to see an entirely different Protoss versus Zerg. I do think RiSky is getting a little overeager with some of these attacks. And I think there's opportunities for Probe to just have a clean, clinical hold, get ahead, win the kind of late mid-game stage. I haven't seen, you know, RiSky necessarily do the most brilliant maneuvers. It's been rather standard Zerg versus Protoss. The difference has just been in the level of early game execution. RiSky is both macroing hard and finding damage with his Zerglings. He's getting ahead early, and that's allowing him to swarm over Probe, where every fight, it feels like every single one of Probe's units needs to be a Warcraft 3 hero. Like, it needs to, like, use its ultimate. It needs to summon some, like, Spirit Wolves and stuff. Like, he can't just have a normal Archon or Zealot in a fight. Each one's like, no, I need to kill 3 Ravagers and 12 Banelings, or I'm going to lose this game. And you don't need to be in such a high-pressure situation at all times if your opening is just a little bit cleaner for Probe.
Oh, if only this game had critical attack. Those Archons getting those big red numbers.
I'd be so happy, dude. That would be amazing. You know, just 400 hit point damage Broodlord, you know, shot into a clump of Broodlords from an Archon. Just takes them all out. Seems fair.
And then the Archon makes a copy of itself and splits up into several directions.
Be cool if you get items.
Come on, Blizzard.
Yeah, well, now I'm thinking, like, you know, you build a ghost, but it's basically sniper, like from Doto, and then you get like a, you know, invisibility item with it and stuff. You're running around with these like ghosts that get like a 40% speed boost and like invisibility for 10 seconds, and they do like an extra 100 damage on like a queen when they break it. Anyways, this would be a terrible game. Don't ever let me design an RTS, guys. I will make literally the worst thing ever made.
This just in, Pig has gotten the IP for StarCraft 3 and will be the lead developer from here on out. All right, well, so far it is not a whole lot to talk about. We just got a regular Stargate opening from Probe, multiple depth opening, and RiSky, just the third base, also regularly timed. He's not going for anything crazy, nothing wild, which has kind of been his staple this entire, I was going to say the series, but this entire tournament, really. Just standard reactionary play from RiSky.
Well, the thing is, we haven't, because Probe doesn't do the Adept printer, I think we're seeing a very happy Zerg player, you know? RiSky's like, ooh, sweet, I don't need to worry about that. Look at this, like, what's he actually scouted this game that tells him anything? I mean, he's seen a second gas at the natural. Obviously, he often sees the Oracle leaving the base, but up to that point, there's no quick roach roaring, there's no response of any kind, and hey, he does get the Overlord egg, nicely done with the Oracle. Right. But yeah, I feel like RiSky, he doesn't seem to have any fear of those ground openings coming out, and I kind of, part of me wonders if Probe should bring back the Archon drop or something like that if we go to that game 7.
Oh, we're actually seeing Probe go up to 3 Oracles here, Pig, so not stock standard. It's a little bit more of an air unit battle. I mean, he is getting the Robo, so he's not going to go super ham on the Oracles. Nothing crazy. But 3 is still a little different.
And the drone's being pulled back in the natural. Well, microed there by RiSky, but also very conservatively microed by Probe. Grabs the drone, denies mining, takes no damage, pulls them back. And we always mention this with Oracles, you know, it's a unit that can do crazy damage if the Zerg messes up. But the real value is in forcing extra queens, forcing extra spores, forcing those drones to quickly be pulled away whenever the Oracles fly in, and it's keeping them alive. If you don't recycle your Oracles and you're like, oh yeah, this is a single-use unit, well, not only are you contributing to unnecessary mineral and gas wastage in the Kaprulu sector, but I mean, you're also just looking at the best scouting unit, the best stasis trap defensive unit, the best unit for shutting down Ravager pushes being thrown away. You keep these alive, they're going to get so much done over the course of a game. You do not want to lose them. And oh my, Maynard, what's that?
Foracles. Stats. The stats style. Nice.
I love it, dude. That 4th Oracle, like, if you've only got 1 queen in a mineral line and a spore, it is just insane. But RiSky is ready for this. He's got 2 queens and a spore in each base. He sees them coming towards the main. He's putting down an extra spore in each base. I think he should be fine. Oh, nice. Good choice. Good choice.
RiSky seems a little unprepared here, but the 2 queens, nice little position there with the spore crawler to assist. Probe doesn't want to trade any hit points here, just shields. Gonna zap down that fourth again, gets the drone over there. Good bit of damage, and the oracles are still alive, and that's forced a spire from RiSky a lot earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting he does opt for that. Obviously wants to get that fourth down rather desperately. I would like to see him move a Spore Crawler over there immediately. This Oracle's gonna smash any queens that they end up facing off against. If it's just equal queens to Oracles, the Oracles do out-damage them. So as long as there's no transfusers going down, the Oracles do usually tend to win that fight rather one-sidedly.
I like the double Spore here. And Probe, I don't believe, has seen the Spire just yet. No, not just yet. Just check his vision.
He's going straight for a nice quick Templar Archives. Archon's definitely one of the most important units to hang on. Obviously, going to be a different dynamic to the last game. It's not Hydra Bane. Unfortunately for Probe, he does miss the very front creep tumor, which means it can continue to spread. That's the active one. It's the most important one. Not to mention the Queens immediately replace this. So the Oracles, they're using a lot of energy, not really finding much purchase. But macro, absolutely unperturbed. This is the first game where we haven't seen Zerglings catching adepts, getting probes, getting damage done. And you kind of look at the supply, you look at the work account, you go, hey, it looks pretty good for probe. And I think the only question mark is how does he handle the Mutalisks?
He's already going into Archons and he's started Phoenix production. I think Probe's starting to get a bit of a read here on what RiSky is likely going to react with.
I do like that. Preemptive Phoenix. He doesn't really have a lot of info. He's got an observer in between the rallies. The mutas are going to fly over it. And Probe, I'm not sure if he's noticing it. He does put a cannon down at the front. He has not noticed the mutas fly over his observer. So I was on his vision there. He missed it. Probe's moving across the map, though. So maybe he forces the mutas to go home with this push.
He just misses the edge of them there. They're trying to avoid the Protoss' army and just get into the main base.
Yeah, there is a Phoenix out.
Not that many mutas.
But without Stalkers already there, I mean, if he just had 5 Stalkers and a Phoenix here, the mutas have to leave. But now the mutas are on the inside of the base, so running away from the Phoenix also happens to involve finding more undefended probes, and that's a big disaster here. Big wave of damage done. The mutas really finding some value. The Prism coming over. Oh, he tries to focus it.
All right, thank you, Shield Battery. This is also the third game in this series where Probe has accidentally started a Void Ray. There's no way he wants an actual Void Ray right now. That's almost certainly meant to be a Phoenix.
That's how you assert dominance, Maynard. Don't judge.
With the Kamehameha Chad Rays, that is true.
Yeah. They dominate 4v4s for a reason, Maynard. The single Void Ray.
The true esport version of StarCraft 2.
Muta's going to hit back in
Void
that
Ray,
lane.
go!
Yeah, get him, boys!
Get him!
That's it. The Void Ray gonna kind of shoo them away a little. Of course, does almost no damage to the Mutalisks. But behind this, what's the follow-up? I mean, there's no infestation. It's just 81 drone, Ravagerling Bane, and I actually feel way better for Probe's situation. Yeah, a bit of chaos, bit of annoyance, but he's actually starting +2 today, which is way different to the last game. No Storm or Disruptors. Well, I don't know if he needs it. Like, honestly, against Ravager Bane, you've got Stasis Traps, you got Cannons. I mean, he could use some Shield Batteries at his 4th base. But I think with this many Stasis Traps, I think Probe is completely fine on the defense.
All right, well, I like the spread of Stasis Wards here, using those Foracles to his advantage still. The Phoenix is doing a bit of a dance in the main base. One of them nearly gets picked off, falls back to the cannon. He is going to kill those mutas, but the main story is here at the front. The Baneling streaming past the Archons, looking for the chewy underbelly here of the Protoss army. The Archons are still pretty healthy, but can he deal with the Ravagers? The Oracle's coming on in. The Queen's walking across the map with that creep spread to just engage the Oracles directly. Does Probe have the firepower?
Oh, the Prism trying to do some hot pickups. If he can just hang on against this Reinforcer Zerglings, he should be okay, but the Queens are going to win the air battle. The Oracles run out of energy. The Void Ray does go down, and it looks like RiSky here with this big bust might just be clinching his spot in the DreamHack SC2 Masters Summer Finals. This is going to be an awesome win if RiSky can close it, but Probe's not done yet. He hasn't lost any workers, and he's still hanging on with these last couple of Immortals.
Yeah, these two Immortals and a Prism, name a better duo. They are just holding on here. He is on scraps though, Probe. He's got a bit of money, but he hasn't got that production enough to be able to spend all this cash to get them on that front line to fight back against RiSky's advance. Stasis Ward going to take 4 Roaches out of the mix, but there's still a lot more here from RiSky. He's got a big Ling reinforcement coming as well. I think if the Lings arrive, Probe is in hot water. He does not have an answer to a big flood of Lings.
Really unfortunate that Probe broke his own force fields while he was microing against the Mutas in his main. His Archons did break the force fields on the first wave of this. I think if he had just a few more seconds to deal with this, that might have changed things. He's doing such a good job keeping these Immortals alive, but look at that Ravager count, Maynard. Oh my gosh. I mean, they're not the tankiest unit. They're very costly. If they go down, it's obviously not going to be great for RiSky, but big Biles.
The Biles. They get the Immortal there. Probe can't really afford to lose anything. Probe's killing a ton of drones on the other side of the map, but he does still need to hold on. 13 drones is a nice little bit of counter damage, but he needs to not die here for it to matter.
Yeah, battery overcharge is 40 seconds away from being off cooldown, so these Archons doing a miraculous hold. The Zealots coming in might just be enough. Oh, third Immortal.
Downtown.
Nice. He's still got a lot of units here. Probe hangs on. He's on 75 workers. He's trying to rebuild a fourth on the top, but RiSky knows that he gets rid of it. If only Probe had that fourth base still alive, I'd actually like his position here. As it is, he's back on 3 base. He's desperately got to get a fourth up. He doesn't have any splash damage. He's built another Void Ray, Maynard.
Get in there, Void Ray. What are the Ravagers going to do? Bile you down? Hell no. Live your truth.
Oh man, I mean the Void Ray actually probably on purpose this time, I think, since he realized the Ravagers were going so deep and he just needed anything that he could put his money into. Remember, there's no Storm. It's just +2 Archons, Immortals, Zealots versus Ravagers and Banes. And don't get me wrong, I think the Protoss units are better, but Hive is done. We've got kind of the threat of incoming Greatest Spy attack, maybe started soon. Probe here trying to get his fourth back up. He's got a sick worker count, but he doesn't have too much super efficiency, right? I mean, what do you got here? You've got like just 1 sentry, a couple Archons and Immortals, and oh my god, that's a lot of Banelings.
Yeah, the Banelings are streaming on in. Good force field there from Probe and create a bit of a funnel. Does get biled down. In come the Banes, crashing into the Archons, the Immortals, all packed up together. The Banelings are going to crash through a lot of these very chunky units. Charge loss coming in from the south. Maybe enough for Probe to hold on, though.
That was not the cleanest engage from RiSky. He's got the numbers, though, so if he cracks through, it doesn't matter. As long as he can deny the fourth.
The Archon's very low in hit points. He does kill them. Those Biles somehow killing like 3 or 4 Zealots there. Probe getting a little bit too far out, though, and it's too much. RiSky is going to win the next game here. And he is going to be the qualified player here from Oceania, getting the victory.